Hello, welcome back. We're going to get ready to start, but I just realized I forgot to tell you what's my strategy with this game. So let me just say that I win this more than half the time. And if I don't win, I'm either second place or a very close third. The strategy of doing that A company thing where you take your two train and mix it in, and I've seen people beat me with that. And it sort of, here's the thing, turn order makes a difference in this game. Where you are in turn order matters. And sometimes you just get screwed by turn order and you just can't win. And I don't have a strategy for that other than, maybe get the C company, right? Because then you can manipulate turn order. But my strategy is it's a fairly simple one, but this game is one of those games where you have to adjust to what other players are doing. But as you can see, I have two premium companies and one lesser company, right? That's in the $60 range. These two were $90. That you'll see from me usually every time. And what I like to do is I don't like to rush for the green train. I'm totally okay with it taking a while to get to a green train. But a couple of caveats. This situation where GWR is worth more money than everybody else, we are approaching, see, when the stock goes up and hits this spot, it doesn't go up anymore. It actually caps out. So if the game takes too long, all those other chips that are behind GWR will actually catch up to it. And so the advantage that Lord Wellington has by having the most valuable stock in the game gets lost. So I forgot to mention that as a strategy. You need this game to end. And you need the game to end in a timely way, or otherwise the advantage that you gain by having these well-run companies is no longer an advantage. If everybody's worth 550, then you no longer have an edge, okay? So that's something that you really have to seriously keep in mind. And by us delaying getting that 3 train, we delayed the ability for our companies to, or for the game to end. So that will speed up the game end. The quicker we buy trains, the quicker the game ends. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is, okay, when you start a company, you usually only get 4 shares. Remember, you have your president's share, which will be 50% of it, and then it's 25-25, right? So you'll have I know this isn't what we're, just pretend. So you'll have one president's share that'll have a 2 on it, and it'll be 50% of the company, and then you'll have a 25% share and a 25% share. So the one strategy that does beat me, not all the time, but I have to be really on my good game, is somebody will buy all 4 shares and then just take all that money for themselves. And here's why. What they're doing is they're doing the same thing I like to do. They're just doing it a different way. And that is, this is an economic game. The more cash you make early, the more you can invest early, right? And the earlier you invest, so if I'm investing in a $120 stock that's worth $550 at the end of the game, look at how much money I made for doing nothing other than just spending $120 early in the game. So the more money you have early in the game and invest, the more it'll be worth later. So you want more in the beginning of the game. So what that person's strategy is they buy all 4 shares, so the company's getting no money at all, but all of this money, 100% of the revenue of the trains is going into your personal stash. And then what they're doing is if they own 100% of this one, right, then they're using that money to buy shares of their other train or their other companies. And so they're sort of like they're letting this one become like BHP, where it's going to be a trash company. But they're doing it the proper way, not the Lord Wellington way, where they're using this money then to invest in their other stuff. Okay, so that strategy works. I don't do that. I'm always tempted to. But what I do is I go major right away. So I may own 3 shares of a company, but it's only going to be a 20%, 30%, 40% ownership, right? or maybe even only a 30% ownership, right? Because I'm going to have a president share and one other, and there's going to be 10 shares in the company. I will go major before we even start the first operating round, and in doing so, a lot of people tell me, hey, that's crazy, because now you're, at least if you were state or regional, right? Okay, so let's say I stayed a regional, and I have a president share and one more share. I'm getting 75% of the money from that company. And the company only gets 25% of the money, but I get 75%. So wouldn't that serve my interest to having more personal cash? Well, by going major right away, I'm only going to be making 30% of the same, he's going to have the same exact 2 train, but I'm only going to be making 30% of the money instead of the 75%. And the thing that it does is it causes my company to get a large amount of cash. So the company can afford a green train quicker. So it's my way of helping the companies get to their green train quicker without having to buy a bunch of shares. So then you might be thinking, well, hold on a second. Didn't you just say you need to have a lot of early cash? The answer is yes. But I tend to like these. I tend to let these companies have a lot of shares in the beginning and not own a lot of it. So why do I do that? And what am I doing with my money in the meantime? Well, what I'm doing with my money is I'm buying stuff like this. This is a $15 revenue, and this is a $25 revenue. So I buy a lot of these private companies, and I buy the ones that have really high revenue. This is $40 in revenue. If I run a 2+2 train, usually it's about $80 in the first operating round. A really good 2+2 train. There's some bad ones, right? You can get less than 80. But if you do a really good run, you're going to make $80. Well, at a 50% share, right, if it's a minor here, $40 would go to the company, $40 goes to me, right? Well, guess what? This is $40. So I'm getting a whole company's worth of income just from owning these privates. And these privates are going to give me benefits later in the game that are going to help me. So my trick is, during the concession phase, I buy privates. Almost as many of them as I can, but only the ones that are going to give me revenue. I avoid the ones that are low revenue. Now, the other thing is I do buy these miners, like this L company. If it's available, I'm taking it. If that D company is available, I'm taking it. The K company, those 3 are must-haves. I would take those over these miners. But what I try to do is I try to get these miners, which then lets me get extra personal income. And then at the same time, my majors can get their own income for themselves. So so one of the things is you have to buy a lot of shares of your company in order for your company to be able to afford trains. Well, if it's able to make its own money, then I don't have to buy a lot of shares, at least not right away. The other thing is, if my company improves in value and then I buy shares later, I'm actually putting more money in my company because I'm buying it at a higher price. It sounds counterintuitive, but there's a yin and a yang to it. Now, it doesn't work if somebody else is taking all of your money. So then my other strategy is I could take, I pick one company and that's going to be my OE run, right? So I'm going to invest heavy in that. I'll go major with it right away. And that's going to be my government, actually, right? Because that's the whole idea, is you go OE early and then turn it into a government. And then what I'll do is I'll take another company and I will not go major with it. And I will try to own 75% of its shares. So I'm taking a lot of cash out of that company for now. That's another option. I really like the idea of, the other thing is I benefit from those other players being so aggressive at getting green trains, because they get the green trains and then I go after them and then just make money. So I've actually lost games when somebody didn't do that, right? They didn't go after green trains right away. And I realized that my strategy was so dependent on them doing what they were doing that it hurt me in what I was doing. So there is some interesting dilemmas you can find yourself into. I think the key of the game is you have to adjust. If somebody's taking those privates, then you need to adjust. The only thing I can tell you is from my personal experience, going first in turn order and paying $40 for the right to go first, or whatever that is, 30 bucks, whatever it is you have to pay, is just $40 down the toilet. It is nice to go first to get, London, especially if you were able to get Star Harbor, right? A London plus a Star Harbor is a perfect combo. If you have that situation, then by all means, pay the $30 to go first. But like to me, I want to spend, if I'm going to spend money for something in the auction phase, I want it to at least, like in this situation, I'm spending $60 in the auction phase, but I'm getting $15. So after 4 operating rounds, I got my money back. And that's not counting the bonus that this is going to give me just for being able to place it. And then on top of that, we're on our, 8th operating round right now, and I'm still making this money. Another strategy is if people are taking your stuff away from you, is don't buy anything. Hoard your money. And you're not required to auction any of that crap. Just let other people take it. Let them spend all their money and do sort of like what Medici did. Medici is like my alter ego. So that's the reason why you're seeing me winning this game and Medici winning this game, because Medici's playing the other way I play. I either do this way or I do that way. And so you see Medici's like investing heavily in just whatever stocks are worth the most. And then he picks 2 companies and he makes them, do great. And then the other ones he doesn't care about as much. Anyways, I'm 11 minutes in and I haven't even started. So let's get to RCP. So RCP is sitting on a situation where he has a 5 train and a private. So he's going to be able to buy a train, which is good. And then RCP has not done an OE run yet. He's one of the 2. In fact, Bell's the other one. And because other companies have gone government, you can see that the token spots, this is no longer blocked. In fact, Spain is almost wide open. So with a 5 train, and RCP does have a Celsius token, you can see he's in Portugal. That's in fact his only token. He can go from Portugal to Madrid for 2, here for 3, and then Constantinople for 4. And he actually can go down here into Casablanca for 5. So he can do a 5 run, but he needs to get a token here on this port in order to be able to pull that off. So that's what he's going to do. We're going to pay $20. And for the very first time, he's going to have a token other than Portugal. And this will allow him to cancel this C zone, which then allows him to get to Constantinople. So that's an excellent run. The other thing about RCP, just a refresher, is it's up there in Amsterdam. So when he gets a second train, he will be able to, do some shenanigans from Amsterdam, which means he can go into London. And then we have Berlin bypass. So he's in a good spot. De Gaulle hasn't had a great game, but he is doing a lot of the right things. And his companies will make him some money at the end here. So let's see what he makes. We're going to do the Casablanca there for 60, and then 60 for Portugal, and then 60 for the port, and then 80 for Madrid. That's 4. And then the 5th one is going to be the 140 for, because it's 80 plus 60, yep, for Constantinople. All right, and then he has 5 times 20 whistle stops easily for 500, and he does have a Pullman for 50 more. So he's getting 55 a share, which is a respectable amount for one train. De Gaulle owns half, so it's 275, and the company is getting 275, which is an amazing amount of money for a company to get at this late stage of the game without having to do a half cap situation. So De Gaulle is going to take the money, and then of course the company is getting 275, and that helps the company immensely. And the company is going to buy a 6 train. So he's now going to get a 6 plus 6 for 600. So I'm just, I know the camera's not looking, but I'm just trying to use both hands to get the money here. 100, 200, 275, or no, 300, 325. All right, I just took a whole bunch of small bills a whole stack full. This is $400 out of the 600. I just wanted to clear up all the giant piles of money that was on his board. So I'm putting that away right now. And then I'm just going to take $200 more from his stack, which is the 200 he just made. He got himself a nice 6 train. So he has a 5 and a 6, which means no more train rusting problems for him. The only unfortunate part is he doesn't have a gray train, and he does want a gray train at some point. So what's likely going to happen? Here, let me show you. So he's at his train limit of 2 permanent trains, which you can finish the game with that, and that's a respectable thing. There's nothing wrong with that. What is likely going to happen is we're going to use one of the governments to take maybe the 5 train away from him, because he has a nice stack of change still, and he still has shares. So he's going to continue to make money. And so with this big stack of money that he has, the government's going to buy a 5 train from him, and then he's going to use that to buy a 7 or 8 train, for sure. I think that's a worthwhile move. And Bell is likely in a similar situation. He owns a lot of his own shares. He has a stack of cash. And he already has a 6 train, and he's going to end up buying a second 6 train because RCP is moving up on the stock board. 1, 2, 3. Hold on a second. I think I moved all of these up because I had it figured out that they were going to end up all together like that. So I think before I closed, I moved this up. I had to have, because I don't think that it's going to move up and be with Lizard. Although somehow Lizard's ahead of everybody. Yeah, maybe that is the case. It's moving up and it's going to be with Lizard. That just seems weird to me. Because Bell's going to do the same thing, right? It's going to do an OE run and then go 1, 2, 3. Then it gets a 4th bump just for running and be there. And then WW is going to end up there. Okay. I guess SB is one of the poorest companies in the game. That stinks. But anyways, I still need to run Bell and I still need to run WW. So let's not get ahead of ourselves there. But I can tell you right now, WW is a government company, so it's not buying any trains. So so I can safely do that, and I can also safely tell you that that $600 train is going to go to Bell. So I'm going to grab it now while I'm looking at it. And when we take Bell's turn, which I'm going to do now, I know WW goes first, but Bell's not going to do anything to hurt or interfere. And just understand that Bell only has 1 6 train, even though I put a second one there. And I'm going to even 300, 4, 5. I'm actually even paying the $600 right now too. I know this is out of order, but I'm doing this just to speed up the video because we're already sitting right here in front of De Gaulle, and we're going to do Bell's turn. Now Bell is for sure doing a run, and I'm looking at the situation, and Bell is in London. So all Bell has to do is go through Amsterdam and then bypass Berlin. And with a 6 train, he can easily do that. He can go from Constantinople to Hamburg for 2, and then Amsterdam for 3, and then Berlin for 4, and he still has 2 more stops. So he would do Birmingham for 5, and then he can add Warsaw for 6. And so he has track points. There's not much to do with the track points, but he's going to help his government company. So this will be 4 track points here. And we'll upgrade this whistle stop for 6. Okay, so that's his 6 points upgrade. Now RCP had 6 points as well, and I forgot about that. So RCP is going to do a similar thing, by the way, in France. I'm just going to take a yellow city and upgrade it twice to brown. And in fact, I don't know why I did that. I did a double upgrade, which means I get to make it brown. And then I'm going to take a whistle stop and just upgrade it 1 level. So we're just helping our governments. It's what you do. You help your governments out. And so RCP helped the Spanish government, and then of course Bell helped the French government. So being in London is great. So we're going to get 80 for Birmingham, 90 for London, and then 60 for Amsterdam, and then 60 for Hamburg, and then 60 for Warsaw, and then 140 for Constantinople. Okay, and then there's plenty of double whistle stops, so 20 times 6 for that is 610, and I'm realizing he doesn't have a Pullman. So I think that was because we did some shenanigans where we gave him money buying one. But anyways, that's $661 a share. That's a really good run for Bell. And de Gaulle has half of it. So 305 each. So 305 for de Gaulle and 305 for Bell, which was half of the money needed to buy that 6 train. So Bell's making excellent money, and Bell will spend the 150 to get. He's going to spend 150 to get a Pullman, which is from Medici. So we'll have to go around and do that. And then I already moved Bell up on the stock board. So let's go take care of WW and then BHB. WW, of course, is sorry, I'm losing my thought because I need to grab this Pullman, and we're just going to sit it over here for Bell, just sitting on the board. And we got to hand $15 to Mav because he's controlling the Pullman company. Here's the funny twist. That was the last 6 train bought. And remember how BHB keeps getting screwed by trains rusting and turn order? Well, now BHB is forced to buy a 7 train if it wants to get a second train. It can't even buy a 6 train anymore. And so it's just constantly 1 turn too late every single time. And this is what I was trying to tell you about turn order, just screwing you in the game. BHB has been screwed by turn order more times than any other company, and Wellington's had to deal with that. And it's just, there's always that one company that always seems to be at the wrong spot in the turn order, and this is it. And when you play your own game, you're going to find that happens to you as well. Okay, so WW is sitting on a weird situation where it has 6. So we're just going to upgrade the things that we know we can upgrade. So like this will be 2, this is 4, and you know, we can upgrade this one here for 6. We're just going to upgrade some towns, or not towns, I'm using the wrong words, some cities. So just moving those over to there. So 2, 4, 6. So, you know, these towns are never going to be used, of course, but we're doing them because we're going to start getting into some higher train counts here. But it's just a 6 plus 6. So it's pretty simple. We're going to start with the highest one first, St. Petersburg, and then Moscow. So that's 2. And then 60 for Finland, 3. 60 for Archangelis, 4. 60 for Kharkov, 5, and then 60 for Sevastopol. That's 6. So we've already gotten to our 6. And then the plus 6 is just, he gets to add 40 because he has that special company. And then 5 times 20, which should be 100. So 540, and then don't forget the Pullman, which is just a measly $20 for him, but it's $56 a share. And he happens to only have 4 shares. So Troikovsky doesn't make an awful lot of money, but it's something. So $225 goes to him. I'm going to put $1 back. And the big thing is see all 3 of these? He's going to get rid of all 3 of these and just grab 3 trains from the market. Now, the question is he going to buy a 4 train from Blizzard, for example? And my thought is he should. And normally I would. However, we have MKV, right? And WWW, we call this the World Wide Web company. It's just WW, by the way. Troikovsky only owns 4 shares of it. It's not worth a whole lot, as you can see on the market. Troikovsky doesn't want to buy more shares of this. This is a crappy company. Yes, it's making him some cash, but it's not going to be how he wins the game. We can buy this 4 train and help WW because he had just crappy 2 trains, and it's going to help WW to have better runs. But we don't want to do that because there's room to buy a 4 company in MKV, which is going to help MKV to be even better. And MKV we do have a lot of shares of. So I hope you're understanding the strategy there is we're going to delay buying this 4 train so MKV can buy it, and WW will just have to make do with what he has. Normally, if WW was a fantastic government company, which, by the way, it is a good government company, it's just we don't have that many shares of it, and the value of it is low. In any other situation, we would have bought that 4 train, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so we're going to take 3 of them. So he's now upgraded to 9 plus 9, which is already way better than 6 plus 6. And so he'll be good to go for the next round. And we already moved him up on the stock board. So the only thing left is BHB, who will get to run. He has a 6 train. And BHB is in a great spot. He can... does he have a North Seas token? He does not. So he can't go to London. But he is in Berlin. So he can do a lot of things there. So what he can do is he's going to come from Constantinople to Berlin. He can do that in 3 cities instead of 2 if he has to. And then he's going to just swing through Austria-Hungary to collect some extra cities. It would be nice if he can eventually get to London, but he needs a North Seas token. BHB has $0 to his name. There's nothing to his name. And it was because, remember, he had to do a forced train purchase to get this 6. And we even had to use personal dollars from Mr. Wellington. So all of his money's gone. And so he's in a pickle. And we just need to make money with him. So let's do that. So we have 140 for Constantinople, and then 60 for Warsaw, and then 90 for Berlin. That's 3. And then we're going to get 80 for Vienna for 4, and then just take your pick of $60 cities for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then another $60 city for 6. And trust me, there's plenty. There's one here and there's one there, for example. So that gets them to 490, and then we're just going to do 20 times 6, because there's plenty of $20 whistle stops out there now. And that gets him to 610. So he makes $61 a share. Now, he does get to do some track upgrades, and that is an interesting dilemma because I think Mr. Wellington would like to upgrade England, but there's issues with BHB not having access to upgrade England. He would have to pay money because he's going over a ferry. That's not good. You don't want to be paying $5 a track. So then it becomes, you know, what else can you do? And so it really boils down to your $20 whistle stops. And so, like, for example, he can upgrade this one. That's 4 track points. to do, but it's a nice one because it's on the way to Berlin. And so we just, you know, grab this, and that was 4 of his 6 track points right there. So he's going to do that, and we're going to, for the sake of the video, just call it and move on. Okay, so that's $61 a share, and he has 2, 3, 4, 5. He actually has 7 shares of this crappy stock. So that's $427. So let's think about that for a second. It's a crappy stock, but it still made him $427. So is it really crappy? And the answer is not always. Some people could argue that the really nice Gucci stocks are also making him $427. That is true, but you can still make good cash even on crappy stocks. But maybe he would be better served to sell 2 or 3 shares of these to the stock market and buy something else that's worth more. And that might be a good idea. But for now, that's the situation. And you can see that there's, I think it's, what, there's going to be 3 shares left. So 61 times 3, 183 goes to the company. So the company finally has something. And here's the dilemma. The company is never going to be purchased. So, and I'll show you in a second, but it's the worst company in the game stock-wise. So no other player is going to buy it. He's not going to buy it either, right? Because he's capped out. He can sell maybe 3 shares to the market and then buy those 3 shares from the company. I guess you could do that. But in order for this company to make more cash, it has to, what was I going to say? In order for it to make more cash, it has to, somebody has to buy its shares. No one's going to buy its shares. So right now it has a choice of selling its own shares, 3 of them, and for the awful price of $110 a share. The other thing, and here's the thing, we just went to Constantinople for the first time. And so, as you know, we have automatically done 1, 2, 3, 4 every time. But Mr. Wellington is not going to do that. He's going to allow it to just go up 1 time. That's it. And if you look at the prices here, it's just not that much better. What he's going to do is he's going to implement the other first-time OE bonus that you've never seen happen in the game, but it makes sense in this situation. And so instead of going up 3 blips on the stock board, he made a $610 run. So we can take $610, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $610, and just give it to the company. How about that? So he just got himself $610, and he was able to do that because he's foregoing the 3 bumps on the stock board. He already knows this stock is never going to be worth a lot, so he wants to buy a train. And then I just realized something. We have this plus 40, so this would have been a $100 spot. So let me think about this for a second. Yeah, so that would have been another $4 a share. And since he had 7 shares, that would have been another $28 for him. So let's give him another $30. Take $2 back. And then the company itself would have gotten $6 more. So we're going to give the company $6 more. And then crazy enough, that's another $40 because of our OE choice. We're going to get another $40 to the company. And that's because he has the D company, and that this is now a $100 city for him. So it's just like a metropolis. It's really beautiful. And I know you're thinking, well, hold on a second, that means you can't go down through Vienna, and you're right. But instead, we're just going to meander our way over and hit this. Because he has a port here, so he can go into the C zone, or yeah, he can hit this here and then come up through the port. So we're fine, it's just I had to go a different way. Okay, with all that said, so why did I do all that? Well, I just gave him a huge surge of money, and a 7+7 train is $750. See that? And then what we would like to get is $850. So let's see if we have it. He might actually have it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 825. Oh my gosh, he doesn't have enough. So then what we would do is we would half cap. And I apologize so much, but so if he half caps, because remember, he's at $110 a share. So we paid out $427 to us. So we would take that $427 and divide it by 2. So $214 or $213 gets taken away from Mr. Wellington and goes to him. Because half cap means you take half the money and keep it, and then pay out the other half to your shareholders. So why do we want to get to this magical 850? You're going to see why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, like he has 850 and then he has change now. So that was a little bit of an overkill. He was only like $20 short. Two magical things happen. First one, we're now in the gray check phase. We just unlocked gray trains. Second one is he paid $850. So he's doing the other side and he got himself a 4D. So this BHB company may not be worth a lot stock-wise, but it is now sitting on the best train in the game right now. And the 6+6 is not shabby either. So BHB is set up to do some really great things. All right, that puts us at 37 minutes. We are going to be moving to the stock round next. And so we have to pause and take care of stocks. And what you're going to see is everybody is going to hit their certificate limit this round. And if somebody does not hit their certificate limit this round, they are losing the game. Plain and simple. This guy, I think, was already at 24, 25 out of his 29. He only needed to buy 4 more shares or something like that. So Medici's already near the cap. I think even the worst player is at 19 or 20. Remember, 29 is the cert limit, and we'll talk about that more when I start the next video. Thanks for watching.